thank you for coming today. My name is Megan Collett. I am the Executive Director of Instructional and Innovative Leadership in the Fox Chapel Area School District, which is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm joined here today by our Superintendent, Dr. Freeman, and Justin Papariello, our Mobile FAB Lab Coordinator. And we are here to discuss promoting equity in STEM with mobile fab labs and digital fabrication. And very specifically, when we talk about equity in STEM, we're really focusing on the E, the engineering piece of STEM. Thank you. So we have to identify the problem, and it's a little cliche, I suppose, to have to identify that target problem, but the problem is simply the underrepresentation of females in engineering fields. Very specifically, we also know that there is an abysmal representation of female minorities in engineering. So we hover around 11% for females in general in engineering fields, and those numbers are very easily in the single digits of 2 to 4% when we're looking at minority students. And so we identified this target, as cliche as it is, because it was the problem that was facing us. We saw it in our high schools, we saw it in our middle schools, and certainly we see it in the field of engineering. This heuristic that you see behind us is really the leaking STEM pipeline. And so those gold or yellow droplets are, in some cases, tens, hundreds, or thousands of females that we lose somewhere along the way between 10th grade and PhD faculty. It's an issue, it's a concern. It's a concern for our public, and it's a concern for the young ladies that are impacted. And when we looked at that pipeline, one of the things we noticed was, sure, we see that 10th grade and on, there's a lot of research, but the research really starts to become minimal when we look at in the K-12 format. Where does the problem start, and what can we do to help mitigate that? And we were left without a roadmap, quite frankly. And so what we did is, instead of focusing on the problem, we wanted to be proactive and preventative, and we focused on what we call our sweet spot. And so we'll use the sports metaphor, though I'm not a sports person. And I want you to just think about, being on a pristine green on a golf course, and you have that ball, you address that ball, you have the perfect stroke, and it hits and it soars, and you just see it soar in that pristine elation as you get the hole in one. It's that feeling, it's that endorphin rush that we want to make sure we put into the muscle memory of our young women as they try to build a boat and race it down a gutter runway. It's that 3 seconds you have between when the pitcher pitches the baseball and that perfect crack you hear, and the echo of successful endeavor that goes throughout the stadium. We want our girls to feel that whenever they're building and designing their own toolbox using a CNC machine and laser engravers. What we really want is for all of the elements, for all of the world to align perfectly so that it can act as if it's this beautiful solar eclipse, so that not that we can pick a path for our young ladies and select an occupation for them, but we can provide them with an opportunity to have the resources and the ability and the prereqs they need to choose that if they want, that we can instill a sense of confidence inside of them and tenacity, and that we can break down any door and any barrier that might stand in their way. And so that brings us to our own heuristic, our own STEM pipeline. And when we look at this attrition in females, we identified that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And in looking at that, we identified 2nd grade as our sweet spot. Right now in 2nd grade, little girls still see themselves as mathematicians. They enjoy building, and they like to participate in science experiments. So let's bolster that, and let's make sure we build that confidence and we expose them to more engineering opportunities at that age level. And that brings in our Rainmaker, Dr. Gene Freeman, our superintendent of schools. And so what he was able to do is take our idea and say, look, we need a lot to make this happen. We need financial stability, and we need to really make sure we have financial resources, so let's write a lot of grants and get a lot of support that way. We also need the right people in place to make it happen from our own association and our own board, and we need the support of the school board and teachers associations and principals and all those people on the ground that make it happen. But what else he did that is potentially even more important is he said, it's not just about our one school district. We have school districts all around us, varying in free and reduced lunch from 50% to 100%, varying in minority rates. Why are we not also making sure that we serve them? And so we were able to write within the grants to make sure that we had funds to not just help push this out to the second graders of our own school district, but for the 4 school districts around us. And so he made it rain. It worked. Thank you for that, Dr. Freeman. And we needed to make sure that that rain, all of that magic, landed in the right person's hands. And that person is standing next to me, Justin Papariello.
And Dr. Collett and Dr. Freeman, they did all the hard work. I really got to do kind of the fun stuff. So we brought together a bunch of teachers from these local districts, and we needed them to have a certain amount of information before we came to their districts. So we taught them all about the engineering design process and some of the activities we were going to be doing with them, brought them in and gave them that experience. Also, as a high school engineering teacher, we needed to take some of this stuff on the road. So whether it be just hammers and screwdrivers, but also a whole bunch of digital fabrication tools, CNC machines, 3D printers, laser engravers, vinyl cutters, all this stuff had to go on the road. And also, we could have just put it in the back of a school bus, but why not make it an innovative, cool space? So being that I had this group of students in front of me who also needed to have an authentic experience, we used them to design a tiny house, build it top to bottom, the roof, the electric. We designed all those innovative spaces and some of those different things you need to put inside of a tiny house to make everything fit. And when we show up, we create an outdoor classroom, which would work a lot better in San Diego than in Pittsburgh. But with those days that we have, setting that stuff outside and working on all kinds of activities from 3D printing objects, laser engraving name tags, building toolboxes, making boats, marshmallow towers, anything to get especially the females in that second grade demographic interested in touching equipment was just super important. And some of the 3 takeaways that we really got from it was, 1, perseverance. The kids were just super excited to be involved in that, but get through some of the roadblocks that we intentionally set up. Also, the confidence to go through those things. And then finally, just the pure excitement. You'll see in a couple of these pictures, just kids really excited to touch those things that they really didn't have access to before.
And this is the changing face of engineering. With the research that we have from the post and pre-surveys, we can change the face. This is what our future engineers look like.
And this is what perseverance looks like.
This is what elation looks like.
And this one's excitement for sure.
And this is what sheer tenacity looks like. And so we want to thank all of you for having us today. Of course, everyone back in the district, the Grable Foundation who made it happen with their fund, Luma Institute for training us on design thinking, and the University of Pittsburgh's LRDC with Christian Shun. We are all here to remake learning together, and we hope you join us. Thank you.